Auto mileage table. Many maps include an auto mileage table. The auto mileage table can help you to plan your trip by letting you know exactly how far the most common route is between two major cities. For example, if we wanted to find the distance from Chicago to Seattle, we could refer to the mileage chart. In using the mileage chart to help us find the distance between Chicago and Seattle, we'll locate Chicago on the chart and we'll locate Seattle on the chart. We'll follow the column underneath Chicago down as we follow the row from Seattle over. When the column and the row intersect, we will know we found the correct distance. In this case, 2,114 miles. So the distance between Chicago and Seattle is 2,114 miles. Another example might be from New York City to Houston. Now this is going to be a slightly more difficult problem because when we look on our chart, we don't find Houston mentioned anywhere in the chart. We're going to need to use two sources in this case. The closest we can come to Houston on our chart is Dallas. So we're going to look at Dallas and we're going to look at New York City. We're going to trace one row over and one column down until we find their intersection, which is 1,600 miles. So an intermediate step in this problem is to tell me that from New York City to Dallas is 1,600 miles. You may need to use a second source to help you find the distance from New York City to Houston. I've gotten as far as Dallas with 1,600 miles, but I'm going to have to find the rest of the distance. If you're lucky enough to have a map of Texas, perhaps it has a scale on it that's something like this: 1 inch equals 100 miles. In this case, if you measure the distance with a ruler from Dallas to Houston, you might find it was about 2¼ inches. In that case, we would know that the distance from Dallas to Houston is about 225 miles according to our scale. Now if we wanted to find the distance from New York City to Houston, we know in the first leg from New York City to Dallas it's 1,600 miles, and then from Dallas to Houston it's about 225 miles. If we combine those, we find the distance from New York City to Houston is about 1,825 miles. Using a map and a legend together can help you find the distances between most major cities.
Say you want to take a scenic ride with this diesel locomotive. The brochure says the trip is 156 miles long and the train averages 28.5 miles an hour. How long will the trip take? Let's do the math. The train ride is 156 miles. And you read the brochure and it says the average speed is 28.5 miles an hour. So you want to say, well, how long will the trip take? And so all we have to do then is, now notice this is in miles, and this is also in miles. So all we have to do then is divide 156 by 28.5. So 156 divided by 28.5 is a half equals, so it take 5.47 hours for that train trip. So basically about 5.5 hours you'll be on that train.
Please pause the video now and complete the problems in your workbook. When finished, press play, and we'll continue with the next lesson.